committee to order. Purpose statement first. Then I'm going to ask Mr. Sonnenberg to come forward. Purpose statement for the Citizens Advisory Committee of the Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority is as follows. The primary objective of the CAC is to ensure the capital, maintenance, and public transportation projects and programs approved by the voters during the November 6, 2012 election are accomplished with PPRTA funds. This committee reports directly to the Board of Directors on the Wednesday following our meeting. All right. I'm going to ask, there is an agenda change, and I'm going to ask Mr. Sonnenberg to explain it.
Good afternoon. Rick Sonnenberg, Pikes Peak RTA Program and Contracts Manager. The city on item 7B on the action column to the right is asking to revise the word discuss to recommendation. That's the requested amendment to the agenda.
You will need a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second.
All right. You got the second? I didn't get the. Okay. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objections? Unanimous, Bethany. Thank you, Rick. Sorry, I'm making notes. All right. Public comment for any items not on the agenda. There is some public here. Don't all rush to the microphone. I can't stand the stampede. Being none, next item, approval of the minutes. So everybody should have had a chance to read them.
Move they be approved as presented.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And now we get the lovely Miss Beverly that always gives us good news.
Good afternoon. For the financials, as you can see in January, or for January, we received $6,834,000, or almost $239 above the budget. And the budget on here is the amended budget on page 1, because I anticipate that the board's going to approve that this next meeting, and they had already indicated that they had approved the revenue figures. So we're ahead 3.6% for year-to-date, which is only 1 month, and compared to the actual last year, 2016, on page 2, we're almost ahead $210,000, or 3.17%. The next few pages, it's a new format for the revenue and expense summary. And as you can see in column A, it's the 2017 approved budget with estimated carryover, and then adjustments in column B to the original budget, giving column C the amended budget, including the carryover. And then column D is the actual year-to-date 2017 revenue and expenditure, and then column E is column D over C, which gives us the percent of the budget received and or spent to date. And so I hope that this new format, that you folks like it, and that it's easier to understand than the old format. But I welcome any of your comments, and if you don't have any right now, feel free to email me. Okay. Pages 6 and 7, of course, compare the first 10-year capital projects to the total project budget and the over and under budget, and 8 through the rest of this report, 8 and 9 are the second group of 10-year projects that were approved by the voters. And on page 8, about halfway down the page, Chestnut Street over South Douglas Creek Bridge rehabilitation is over the budget I have there. But Mike and I discussed it, and there's a little bit of discrepancy because a different budget was approved in 2015, and then 2016, this old budget was in the paperwork for the budget approval. So we're going to get together and kind of hash that out, and if we need to bring it back to the CAC and the board, we will. But it's probably not over the budget that was approved at one time, so. Does that make sense?
Which
It's a
page?
little confusing.
Which page?
Page 8. Read Chestnut Street over South Douglas Creek Bridge replacement. So the $3,585,000 budget, it's more than that from a 2015 document, but we kind of went backwards in 2016. So I don't know. It's just probably a clerical type of thing. Are there any questions? Okay.
Thank you very much. All right. Capital maintenance and public transportation contracts. Excuse me. Did I miss
First,
something?
I
Yeah.
think there's the investment committee recommendation for your approval. Interest rates have been on the rise just as of recently, and then they're anticipated to keep rising into next year. And so we called together the investment committee again to look at what we should do concerning our investments. Currently, we've been with American National Bank, and even for our investments, we do our banking there, but also our investments at this time. But their interest rates weren't keeping up with Colo Trust. And so the investment committee met once before this memo went out. And the recommendation from them, and they consist of a finance representative from each of the member governments. And Rochelle Kennedy represents the city of Colorado Springs, Brian Olson, El Paso County, Cindy Tompkins, Rama, Renee Price, Town of Green Mountain Falls, Rebecca Davis, the city of Manitou Springs. So we got together and discussed and compared what the member governments do to what we were doing. And due to the rise in interest rates, Colo Trust, like I had said, is higher than American National Bank. And so it was recommended at that time that we do 60-40 in two different funds at Colo Trust. Well, after that, American National Bank requested that we receive a proposal from them, which, seemed fair. So we received a proposal yesterday morning from them, and then Colo Trust came and went over their program also. And after that, the investment committee discussed it again and decided that we would still go with Colo Trust, and we would go 100% in the Colo Trust Plus investment. And there's two different investments. So that's the recommendation. Now, today, Brian Olson's here from El Paso County, and Rochelle's here from the city of Colorado Springs. And Brian will talk to you for a few minutes, and Rochelle could answer some questions also, or chime in. And then Ben Mendenhall from Colo Trust is here also if you have any questions. Thank you, Brian.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Brian Olson with El Paso County. I'm with Administrative and Financial Services. Not a whole lot to say. We sat down with both with Colo Trust and with American National Bank, and went through their proposals. Both are safe banks. Both follow the Public Deposit Protection Act, and rates are how do I say this? Rates are presented a little differently between the two, but I think we as a committee decided to go through Call Trust, and I'll say that El Paso County uses Call Trust. I'll let the city decide to speak who they use, but we use the there's two accounts that Call Trust offers. There's the Prime and the Plus, and the Plus offers a little bit better interest rate. The county uses both. It kind of depends on. We have some bonding that we do, and those bonding requirements don't always let us invest those monies exactly the way we want. So the Prime is all government paper, what they invest in. The Plus, and Call Trust can always get in this too. But the Plus has government paper, but also a little bit of some corporate stocks they invest in. But they've never lost money on these investments. I think again the county uses both these investments is for for vehicles for our investments as well. So I don't know. I think it was unanimous that we decided that Call Trust was the best one to go through. I think Call Trust, again, American National Bank is a good bank. Call Trust is designed a little bit more to work with governments, and I think they're just easy for us to work with as far as electronic means and safety. So I don't know if you have any questions for me. I'd be happy to answer anything.
Brian, did you say they're both the same institution?
No, they are not. They're both well rated as far as credit rating goes.
We use past experience plenty of years ago, never mind how many decades. Ours was ANB as well.
Mhm.
And then we switched over to CNB for whatever reasons we may have decided at the time. And I'd never heard of this Colorado Trust. Is it fairly new?
I don't remember exactly when they come out. I'll let Call Trust speak on that. We use them for the county, and we also, because I was involved with the Baptist Road Rural Transportation Authority, and we used it for that as well before it was dissolved. It's just it's an investment. It's a pool that's designed really to work with government entities. So it's a bank for government entities. Really, I think that's a good way I'd put it. So again, I'll let Call Trust speak on that.
Rep, would you use the microphone, please? When you speak, I can't hear you.
Maybe there's a reason.
Thanks. Use it anyhow.
Tom?
So your split right now between the Prime and the Plus is 60 Prime, 40 Plus?
No,
That was the original.
that was originally what we had thought, and after the proposal, when Call Trust sat down with us and kind of explained everything, we decided, it's about 50 basis points difference. So we decided that was the best route, just to put everything in there, because the safety is really the same. So there was no reason not to split those up. And since, again, the only reason we split it up because of bonding purposes, otherwise the county probably put it all into Plus as well.
Ed?
Maybe for Bev, but how often do we review this and make these changes?
I don't think we ever.
Probably in the 11 and a half years I've been here, we've reviewed it about 3 or 4 times. And what causes us to want to review it is a change in rates. So like, for instance, and a change in policies. Like at A&B Bank at the beginning, they offered us the 91-day T-bill rate, which was higher than the Colorado Trust. So, but we're staying with A&B Bank as far as our banking relationship. This is the investment side. So
you're not making like a 3-year commitment?
no. But at this point, Colorado Trust rates are higher, and American National Bank is not offering us the same deal that they used to. So it was the situation caused us to call the meeting.
Okay.
if, it was reversed, we wouldn't have had a need to call it.
Bev, while you're still up there, you indicated that Rayma was also participated in the meeting?
Yes, now,
The minutes don't reflect that.
no, let me explain. Cindy was going to be at the first meeting, and she wasn't. And then yesterday, we were missing 3 because of the bad weather. But I talked to Cindy and went over the conversation with her, and she agreed with their decision. And then I talked to Rebecca Davis at the City of Manitou Springs, and she is the finance manager there, and she also agreed, and I haven't gotten a hold of Renee Price at the Town of Green Mountain Falls yet about yesterday's decision, but I'm imagine she's going to agree because she was in on the first decision to go to Colo Trust.
I believe Rebecca said that Manitou uses Colo Trust also.
Right, and Rebecca and Cindy use Colo Trust also. Cindy is the clerk at
Rayma and Calhan.
Calhan and Rayma, yeah. I was thinking Calhan, but yeah.
Deborah,
Okay.
are there any fees and costs associated with the transfer?
Not with the transfer itself, I don't believe, no.
Okay.
There's fees associated with the investments, and when we were given the proposals yesterday, Colo Trust fees are less also.
Okay.
It's built into the rate.
Yeah, and it's built into the rate, it's net, so, but we were still ahead of what we would have netted with A&B Bank.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon, Michelle Kennedy, City of Colorado Springs Finance Department. I was also part of the investment committee discussions, and the city uses Colo Trust, and we really love their flexibility in our cash flows, and the rates are a lot higher than A and B. I don't really have a lot to offer besides what Brian has already said, but I'd like to bring up Ben from Colo Trust.
Hello. Thank you for having me today. Ben Mendenhall. I'm Vice President of Investment Advisory Services for Colo Trust. And it's important that I was here today to really give you some context on what Colo Trust is and how it operates. And without throwing a bunch of financial jargon and terms at you, we'll save the lecture for the university professors up the street. But Colo Trust is a local government investment pool. So it's actually not a bank. But we are a pool that only works with Colorado governments, and it works very similarly to a money market fund. And we are bound in what we can invest in by the Colorado revised statutes and our own indenture of trust that is set up by a 12-member board of trustees of all local government finance officers, like Brian and Rochelle, where we have county treasurers on our board, we have municipal finance directors, we have special districts on our board, and school districts. And they control how conservative we can be compared to the state statutes. And when you look at our indenture of trust versus the investment options that you have according to the state of Colorado for public money, we're actually much more restrictive. So we've been around since 1985. And in the 31 years of existence, we have kept a AAA rating. And through the financial crisis, we never took a loss on any one of the positions within the portfolio. We never broke the net asset value of $1. So Colo Trust is $1 in, $1 out, and it's daily liquid. We've never broken that. And we never had a credit issue with any of the commercial paper that we have within the portfolio. So we actually don't have corporate stocks or any type of equities within the portfolio. It's only fixed income. So this is a very, very boring and plain and simple investment option for Colorado governments, but we do have over 1,400 Colorado governments invested in the fund, from small, medium to large. And one of the ones that you can probably relate to is the Regional Transportation District has a very sizable investment option with us. And again, it is daily liquid, AAA rated, and it's only Colorado governments that can invest in the fund, being counties, municipalities, special districts, and school districts. So that's really kind of an overview of what the fund is, how it operates. And in terms of the fees, that's a very good question. we don't control the fees. The Board of Trustees does, and that is 12 basis points. So right now, our yield is at about 98 basis points, which is almost 1%. So 1% is 100 basis points. And that includes the 12 basis point fee that we have. There's no other fees associated with the number of accounts that the district can have. They can have up to 100 if they want. We don't charge for that. We also don't charge for incoming or outgoing wires or ACHs because, again, this is public money. So what you see with us is really what you get. We're very fundamentally different than a deposit account at a bank in the fact that we are actually a security that operates very similarly to a mutual fund and a money market fund with a stable net asset value of $1 and a perfect track record for 31 years. I'm happy to address any questions. My first grade teacher at Denver Public Schools told me the only stupid question is the question not asked. So please feel free to ask me a question, and I'll do my best to address it. Please.
Go ahead, Tobias.
In the minutes of the March 16th Investment Committee meeting, there's a sentence in there, and I'll just read it. In May of 2011, Colorado Trust Plus AA or A, capital A, too small a rating was withdrawn by Moody's Investment Services. When was that reestablished, and what ratings do you have, on your different investments?
Sure, that's a great question. And the reason why the rating from Moody's went away is we actually are now covered by Standard & Poor's. And we have a AAA-M rating through Standard & Poor's. And to give you an idea of a AAA-M rating is the U.S. government is actually rated AA. So what's interesting is Colotrust Plus and Prime, both portfolios of Colotrust actually have a higher credit rating than the U.S. government, which obviously these days is not too hard to believe. But with that being said, I did bring some Standard & Poor's fund profiles on Colotrust, giving you a breakdown of not only the investments within the fund that are all Colorado Revised Statute approved investments for public money, as well as the history of the fund and how they go about rating the fund. So, sir, to answer your question, the best way possible is we have the highest credit rating of any investment that you can purchase with public money. And I'm happy to leave these copies for you.
I don't see anybody else holding up their hand, so I'm going to ask a question of you. Can
Please,
you
sir.
give me the statute, CRS 31? I don't want to look through all 32 volumes of it. Thank you.
Sure. There's actually two statutes that relate to investing public funds, and I'm going to give you both of them. The main statute that dictates what you can, actually mandates what you can and cannot invest public funds in is CRS Statute 24-75-601. And then also 24-75-601.1 talks about the individual investments that you can invest in on your own as a government entity. But relating to local government investment pools like Colotrust, the actual CRS statute is 24-75-701. And they're right next to each other within the Colorado Revised Statutes. That's a great question.
Gene.
Mine's administrative, so I'll wait till the end.
Before we take a vote?
Well, yes.
Okay. I think, are there any other questions of Ben? Bev, he's got a question of administration.
Thank you.
The administrative question I have is that the recommendation in the package, our 5B, has a 60-40 split, and my understanding is that we want to change that to a 100% into one of the two funds. Since we don't have an update, do we have to make a motion to amend this prior to voting?
I'm sorry, excuse me. Those were the minutes of the first meeting. And the minutes of the second meeting, which was yesterday morning, aren't completed. But in the minutes that will come out for that meeting, it was recommended instead of doing the 60-40 split, and this is your investment committee who recommended this, that it all go into the higher yielding Colo Plus.
I understand that, but what we have
I understand.
in the package is the 60-40 split, so do we need to amend this
No.
in order to move forward?
No. We put forward a recommendation I got to hit you.
agree with you.
Okay.
There's a recommendation in your packet. There's been a subsequent investment committee meeting where the investment committee has revised its recommendation to you. I do not feel it causes the need to amend anything on the agenda. The agenda item is report from investment committee. They have a revised report. I think you can take action on the revised recommendation that Brian and Beverly have presented to you without having to amend the agenda or amend anything.
So, Gene, are you satisfied? Go ahead, Cheryl. Yep.
I move that we, how do I say this?
Recommend approval.
Do you?
Recommend approval of the investment committee report as described as 100% in the Colo Prime.
Second.
Plus.
Colo.
Sorry.
Second.
Did everybody understand the amendment? Gene, you've got your fingers up. I assume that's a hand.
Yeah, that's a hand. If I understood things correctly, the recommendation from yesterday's meeting was the 100% into the Colo Trust Plus,
Correct.
Correct.
and I think you just said,
I said it wrong and then
Okay.
stuttered over the Prime.
Basically, the motion is to approve this recommendation as presented subsequently today to a meeting that was held yesterday by the finance managers, and it will be a 100% investment in Colorado Plus, Cold Trust Plus.
second.
All I did was try to reiterate it in basis. Are there any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Are there anybody in opposition? Bethany, that was unanimous.
Okay, thank you. One thing, it's 100% of the investment that we have available to move to Colo Trust, which is fine. You did a good recommendation, but I want to just make you aware that we have two $10 million CDs, that one of them's up this May, and then another one is a 3-year CD, and I think in June we'll be halfway through that. But, and when those mature, we'll get together again and decide what to do with those. But we won't cash those in and take a penalty. So. Okay?
Deb, did I understand you? We have $10 million that's a year and a half out, approximately?
Two $10 million CDs. One matures in December and one matures about a year and a half out. And I don't know that we'll be doing any more CDs, but the rates were so poor that we did two $10 million CDs, so to get the rate up there a little bit.
$10 million CD.
Okay? Okay, thank you.
I've got a few of those.
Are you married?
Now your turn, Mike. I tried to get you up there earlier.
Good afternoon, Mike Chavez, City Engineering. We've got several contracts for you to consider. The first 9 are supply contracts for our operations division, getting urethane signposts, sign blanks, and pavement markings. They're for the dollar amount stated. I believe they are renewable contracts, and they may not necessarily order as much as that's on there. So if there's any question on those, I'll probably have to let Mike or Streets answer that. The number 9 or number 10 is a contract with Ozark Vanguard, and that's a company to install the truncated domes on existing ramps where they don't have domes. That's a requirement. So operations is going in and retrofitting those.
Brad? What is a truncated dome?
They're the little bumps that you see on the end of the ped ramps.
Oh, okay.
And so we normally put a panel, a concrete or steel panel in them when we build them, but the older ones that don't have them, there's a rubberized pad that they can glue down, basically.
And I noticed on your project description on that one, you don't have a cost estimate on that.
Again, but that is just a yearly dollar amount that they'll go up to.
Yeah, the total cost estimate of blank, but you don't, in
Uh,
the project description.
Let me see. I got to find it here a second.
Sure. Yeah. I'm sure it's the 50,000, but it's.
Okay. So it's, okay. Let me,
The truncated dome, that one for 50,000.
Not in the project description. Look down. It's a blank.
oh, I see.
Is it 50,000 or?
Yeah, we can correct that for the board.
All right, just want to make sure it's 50,000.
The monument survey services shows 0
Yeah.
in the contract.
I'll look at that one. The next one is for the pipelining. So this is an on-call contract that was approved previously by you and the board for up to $200,000. Well, there's a project that operations has that the length of the or the size of the project, when they put the pricing to it, exceeded $200,000. So they're bringing that to you for a special or a approval since it exceeded the limits.
I have a question on that, Mike. Does that mean we're actually only approving an additional 147,500? Yeah, about 147. We already approved 200.
I think you're approving a special $340,000 task order in this case.
So you still have a $200,000 task order out there.
Well, the task orders are issued on a case by case. So in this case, we're not issuing a 200; it's a $340,000 one.
Hello, Corey Farkas, Public Works Operations and Maintenance. So what we have, this is on vintage, and we've got, it's the same pipe, it's the same pipe liner, but it's technically two different areas. And so rather than bringing two separate contracts that could be under $200,000 apiece, we wanted to combine everything and make one $340,000 contract, because it is, again, it's the same pipe, just in two different locations, because vintage is a circle, goes up and around, and it's where it ties into, is it Briargate, I believe? And so rather than making it two, I don't know, it just kind of looked a little bit nefarious to have two contracts that were a block away from each other when it's the same pipe and the same contractor. So we combined everything together and are bringing it forward.
Rick, is this part of PPRTA? One? It's,
I'm sorry, I'll need a refresher explanation.
Okay, so this is a corrugated metal pipe that runs underneath the roadway. So
are we working on that road?
Yes, that is the 2017 Overlay Street Vintage Drive is. And therefore, we need to secure that.
That's fine. I don't remember all the damn streets in this town.
You're letting us down, Reb.
I'll let you down gently.
See, ready for the big scene.
Tom?
Mike, I noticed in several cases you've got duplicate sort of awards to different companies. Is that a capacity limitation on the part of the vendor, or is it just a strategy that you're using in contracting?
We'll let Mike, I think.
You've got 150,000 for posts for one place, 150,000 for posts for someplace else.
Is that kind of like a redundancy? They're not to exceed. Yeah, they're not to exceed, and then we'd like to have a second vendor just in case someone can't meet. If there's an urgent rush for an order and one company can't supply it, you go to the next guy.
So the way this is currently worded, then we're approving up to $300,000 for posts.
I didn't understand the question.
I said, the way this is currently worded, if we approve this as is, we're approving up to $300,000 for signposts, not $150 from two vendors.
Yes, that's true. But
to two different vendors.
Yeah.
Yes, but he just got through saying that the reason for the second vendor is if the first could not provide the materials in a timely manner. Which tells me that the intent is $150,000 for posts.
Well, and on these supply ones, they sometimes, in my experience with traffic, they approve these, but a lot of times they don't even come close. They kind of target a approximate value that they might need, but they may not use the second vendor at all, and they may not even use the first one to the full amount.
Gene, for your information, these are maintenance items. So basically, they have a budget that they put forward this year in December. It's about to be revised, but put forth in December. And in their maintenance, we have very little oversight over their maintenance budget, if at all.
And
So if their budget is, for the sake of discussion, I'm going to do some real grabbing of numbers out of the air, okay? If their budget for maintenance, which is 35% of 70%, never mind all that, but literally, if their budget is $10 million, there's little we can say because maintenance is literally maintenance. And that's just because some people don't understand that I don't travel all the streets of Colorado Springs, nor try to remember the names of them all. There's little we can say in terms of how they spend that $10 million.
I understand that. That's not the issue. But the way it was described is that the intent is that they need $150,000 for traffic signposts. And they're letting two contracts for a total of $300 in case the first contractor can't supply it. But I guess okay.
Well, we're not actually giving them 100. We have the potential.
It's
but
potential up to.
But, yeah, up to. But
maybe it just has to do with the way you described it, that I'm having an issue with.
Are there any other questions?
Actually, if I could ask a question, move on to item 13, which is a capital project. I believe the description is incorrect. It's not Cottonwood Creek, but it's Sand Creek on item 13.
oh yes, that was pointed out to me earlier.
Okay. And there was some major work done in that area just within the last year and a half or so. I was wondering what the work that was the work that was done, was that to keep it from collapsing?
There's an existing drop structure downstream, and our stormwater department has been
So it was like
working
riprap and stuff?
Yes,
like, okay.
and we've been, so the bridge project is separate from that.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
So this one should be sent.
Is there any,
Is this the one?
okay, so any other, was there any questions on the maintenance items? We're done.
Well, is that, I'm sorry, I have a question on the survey.
Mhm.
You have PPRTA 0.
It should probably be 50. Yeah, task force.
And then, yeah,
So that should be
one more
50,000.
maybe. On the Cottonwood Creek acquisition, land acquisition, I was looking at the location of the parcel, and I'm assuming the reason, it looks like is that an upstream or a downstream purchase? Do you?
It's an upstream.
Upstream?
Mr. Chair, can we wait on questions until he gets to it, to that particular project?
What?
He hasn't even gotten there yet. We're still
Alright.
2 projects before that.
Okay, so I'll get with Rick and our accountant on the task orders on the amounts, but basically, you're approving 50,000, and whether I've got it plugged in the right spots, or it should be zero on.
That's fine, I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
That's good, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions on,
Number 12, no.
okay, and the plat over Sand Creek, that's a design contract?
Stuff that's actually under our purview?
Well, actually, we are needing your approval for the contract. At this point, we're not using any RTA money for design, but we might later on. So that's why we're bringing that to your attention for approval. So if we have to add RTA money later on, we'll do that. And
All right, which one is it, though? We got a map of Academy and Cottonwood Creek, and we also got a map of Sand Creek and Platte.
yeah, Sand Creek is
Well, on your breakdown, it doesn't.
on number 13. That should say
misleading.
Platte. Yeah, I missed it. 13 should say Platte Avenue or Sand Creek.
Item 13.
Item
was
13,
mislabeled.
yeah, I copied that twice and didn't catch that.
Item 13 was mislabeled. Should be Platte or Sand Creek.
On the list.
On the list, but not
Oh.
on the.
Yeah.
And that's for $1.6 million total, but it's 1.3 of grant and 330 of general fund at this time.
Right, and that's a capital project.
Mhm.
And then on 14, again, going back to a capital project, the lot acquisition at Cottonwood Creek, you said that's upstream. I'm assuming that's for flow mitigation?
Well, it's actually, the project, it's a bridge replacement project.
Right.
But we have had trouble, we've had some channel work in there, and the contractors have had to pay the homeowner rent to use or access through that vacant lot.
So it's right away?
Mhm. So
Okay.
we're purchasing the whole parcel, and then there's an option or a possibility down the line we can sell it back, but we would actually only sell the land, and the part that's in the creek we would keep as right-of-way so that we own the creek. Just because it wouldn't make sense to sell it and then have a private owner own the creek, and if we have to get
Have to go through
there.
it again, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So we're purchasing the whole lot, not just the right-of-way?
The whole lot, yes, which is, part of it's a buildable lot, and then the rest of the lot is the actual creek.
Okay, and what was the idea behind not purchasing just the right-of-way, but purchasing the whole, including the
Well,
buildable?
there's no reasonable access to get to the bridge, so if we use the whole lot, the contractor's a staging area, storage, and access.
Okay, so the contractor is going to be using it as, oh, okay.
Yes, that's why, yeah.
And then there's the opportunity to possibly, so is this zoned commercial?
That's residential right now.
It is residential, okay.
Yeah, and then, and so what we got an appraisal of, what I said, let me turn my note. So we negotiated the 101,000. The appraisal was a little bit less. He chose not to get an appraisal.
I'll bet.
And then our real estate consultant, said that was a reasonable adjustment. It's like, I forget if it was 3 or 7%. But anyway, so that's the purpose behind it, getting that, is so we can keep the construction costs down.
Tom?
So, Mike, you indicated that you may sell off a portion of that property in the future. Since it's been purchased with PPRTA money, does that go back in as a credit to your PPRTA account?
Yes,
It doesn't just go into the city's general?
No, it would come back to the RTA.
I just want to make sure there's a procedure set up.
Yes, and anytime we use RTA funds to buy something, and if we sell it, it comes back to the... Any other questions on these?
I move we recommend approval.
Second?
Of all items? Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Miss Jennifer.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Irvin, County Engineer. We have 4 items. All of them are maintenance items. It's construction season, so that's a good thing, right? Hey, our first item is our pavement crack seal program. This is, we do some crack seal in-house, and a few months ago you approved some material, but we also contract some out because we are trying to get after this as much as possible for crack seal. So we're asking for $800,000 for American Pavement Solutions to do that work. The second item is our chip seal program, and this is for the material for emulsified asphalt. It's the oil used for the chip seal, and so our crews.
Not me.
It's not me. Our crews use this material along with the chips that you approved a couple months ago to do the chip seal overlay program. This year we have scheduled about 30 centerline miles of chip seal roads to do that were approved through our Highway Advisory Commission and our Board of County Commissioners. The third item is our asphalt overlay program, and this is with Martin Marietta Materials, and this is for $4.65 million. And we anticipate to be able to rehabilitate or overlay. Some roads have different treatments, but about 21.5 centerline miles of roadway with this purchase order. And then finally, our 2017 concrete program with AA Construction Company, and we are using this to repair ADA ramps, curb and gutter, sidewalk, at various locations all over the county. This year, we're trying to get caught up on a lot of customer service requests that we have had throughout the years, and some of them date back to 2012. So we're really trying to get after some of those backlog of customer service requests. So that's for about $2.556 million. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Toby?
Move approval as presented.
Whoops,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Who's moving for approval?
Do you have a question?
No, I was going to move approval.
Oh, okay. Let me just ask a quick question. Jennifer,
Mhm.
how does the, since Martin Marietta purchased or bought out the previous paving company, how did their bid of $4.65 million compare to the previous company and their bid for last year?
So we had a renewable contract with the Rocky Mountain, yes. And so essentially, we actually, in our contract, it has some language in there that they took over those contracts. And so essentially by purchasing the company, our contract really didn't change. So it's still renewable, but it's just with a new title. We every year on these renewable contracts renegotiate those prices. Some of the values of some of the work, because we negotiate it based upon line items, went up. Some of them went down, and for the most part, some of them were between 5 and about 15% increase. We were able to, I think, and we compare that with what the city has in their contracts, what other local vendors have, and also with the CPI and other ratings. And I feel like, if we wouldn't have gotten a good price from them, then we probably would have just gone out and rebid the scope of work. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Gene?
Approval is submitted.
Second.
Gene and Tom. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Yeah. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. I love construction season.
Right, next up, City of Manitou Springs, and I just read that.
Hi, I'm Shelley Koba. I'm the Public Services Director for the City of Manitou Springs. Boy, they have a laundry list. I'm all excited because we have one contract here. And we really appreciate the RTA funding for our one contract. And while it's a big one for us. $476,757.75. With that money, we are going to do mill overlays on Pawnee Avenue, Crystal Hills Boulevard, which were carryovers from 2016, Osage Avenue, Navajo Avenue, Minnehaha Avenue, and Crystal Park Road. So that's our 6 projects, and I'll stand for questions.
You've got the young lady up here. It's such a rarity. Don't Doesn't anybody have a question about something?
Move approval as presented.
Jake? No. So we have one recusal. Bethany? Okay. Are there any other questions, any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Unanimous approval. Go spend your money and have fun.
Thank you so much.
Wait a minute, was that for her or the no? She smiled awful big, I was just checking.
That's awesome. All right. Brian's here this week, or this month. Hello, Brian.
Good afternoon. Brian Vituli, Planning Supervisor with the City of Colorado Springs Mountain Metro Transit with the monthly transit report. For the month of February 2017, we saw an increase of almost 10% on our fixed route services as compared to February of 2016. For our ADA powered transit service, we saw a 7.3% increase over that same time period. And for our van pool services, we saw a 32% decrease for that same time period. And I reported last month that we're looking at a different way of reporting the statistics for our van pool surveys, because we have reduced the size of our van pools due to attrition, to employees dropping out, and some movement on those. So we're looking at adding a boardings per revenue service hour, which is one of the metrics that you'll see for our ADA and our fixed route services. So that will give us a more accurate portrayal of the performance of these services. So we just haven't gotten there yet, but the way that we're reporting it continues to show a slide downward, and we don't really feel it's an accurate portrayal of the performance of that. So look for some changes in the way that we report that, and hopefully by next month. Project update. Our downtown transit station relocation process is ongoing. There's a link here on our website. You can review the preliminary report that was completed last fall, where the consultant found 3 sites that are feasible to move our new downtown transit station to. Right now, we've had 2 meetings so far of a mayor-appointed steering committee to look at prioritizing those 3 sites so we can then move forward on environmental reviews and design and construction. So they had their kickoff meeting on February 22nd. The second meeting was held a couple weeks ago on March 24th, and the next meeting will be April 17th. And this is also a very quick time frame. They're looking to have that work done by mid-June at the latest. So it could be done at the April meeting. It could need another meeting in May, but they're working really hard, and they're doing good work, and we're looking forward to seeing the outcome of that. And what we're looking forward to seeing, I've said many times when I've reported on this that this is the 7th time that this has been looked at over the last 20 years. We had 6 previous studies done, and we're nowhere closer to relocating our downtown transit station. And we're coming up on the 40th anniversary of the station being where it is now. And rather than having one site that we go full force on and then have it deteriorate as has happened in other cases, we're looking to have a prioritized list of projects. So if the first one goes south, we can go on to the second one, because as the consultant team said, that any of these three sites would work. There are great benefits and there are some challenges with each of the 3 sites. None of them are perfect, but any of them will work. They meet all of our criteria, size-wise, We'll be able to add more amenities than what we have now. It'll be safer. It'll operate better. So we're hopeful of seeing the outcome of this. So, any questions?
So if you come back in May, you'll have an approved.
No, well, possibly May, but the deadline is mid-June for the steering committee to finish their work. So sometime this summer, early summer, hopefully.
How many times did you say we've tried this before?
This is the 7th attempt.
Would you like to lay odds?
I'm remaining very optimistic this time. Yeah.
Are there any other questions, Dr. Jim?
I was just thinking it would be a good way to do it is to try to let the public know what gets done. This is impressive. And I don't know if people think the roads get fixed or that they just happen, but this is a significant list of accomplishments. And somehow your reputation should be carried out there to show that it's being done. We get to see it, but we only tell people something like this next door or interact with them. But this is a pretty damn nice list.
Good.
Oh, am I?
Yeah, this is transit, and you're talking.
Yeah, oh, I thought you were talking, I'm sorry.
But I do agree with you. We do have an impressive list of accomplishments.
Just record that and I won't repeat it. You come on. Thank you.
It is recorded, Jim. You don't need to repeat it.
What was in that coffee?
Are there any other comments or questions of Brian? Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
All
Anyway.
right. Mike.
We're all over.
See, I'm new, so I thought I was missing that whole section.
Now that Mike's up, it's less impressive.
Yeah.
Listen to Mike talk to himself over here.
Okay.
It's very intelligent.
Oh, Mike Chavez, City Engineering. So I want to just, was going to discuss, but also possibly have some action on this item. So last year, going into the new budget cycle, it was requested that we put out an RFP for our program going into 2018. And I think there was talk of doing it then, but I said that's really going to be problematic, so we said we'd do it next year. Just recently, as you see in my memo, one of my engineers resigned and left a pretty good workload that we are backfilling to some degree with city staff and some contract staff. So basically, city engineering, we manage RTA capital and maintenance projects. We also manage general fund grants and some stormwater projects. So we got a pretty good workload. The resignation is required that I find some people to finish this work, and I've reassigned several of the RTA and city fundage to city staff, but we still have some more work to do. So currently, NV5 is under contract as program management, and they've been doing that since the beginning of RTA. We recompeted that in 2010. They do the program management of the RTA programs, which includes scheduling, the budget, watching the budget, processing payments, and documenting all the work that we do. They're currently working on the Woodman Road widening, the Tut Boulevard extension, and the Dublin widening their powers. And because of the staff change, I also gave them the Dublin bridge replacement, which is started this week. What we also have is
Excuse me.
Yes.
Mr. Chair. Mike, would you mind speaking up just a little bit? The microphones aren't working properly right now, so.
Oh, is okay.
The mics are recording, but they are not amplifying.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's fine. I will pretend I'm at home trying to get order with my 7 kids and raise my voice.
Mike, hang on.
All of you, if you've got a cell phone, will you put it on airplane mode, please?
Yeah,
Just turn them off?
Blackberries are the ones that make that noise, so if you got something similar to a Blackberry, that's what's causing
Also,
the
put them well away from the microphone. It Pinch, we're going to try something. You might get a feedback. Mike, it's not you. It's
Could be anyone.
I've got a smartphone. It knows better than to give me trouble.
I got a Samsung, it just blows up.
You ready,
On
Beth?
fire.
Bethany?
Turn
All
bombs into the
right, go ahead, Mike.
All right, okay. So in addition to the capital work, we have a large amount of bridge maintenance work. For 2017, we have 3 large deck replacements that we're trying to get ahead of before 2C comes and paves this summer. In addition, there's just various bridge maintenance that we have 2 contractors that they do maintenance items on the bridges.
That's one of those new Samsungs. They aren't going to blow up. They're just going
It's not me.
No.
So in light of all that work, we actually increased our bridge maintenance budget to about $4.7 million this year. So we got a lot of bridge work to do that we need somebody to oversee that. So what we're intending to do is we want to use NV5's contract. We want them to probably provide an additional project engineer or manager to oversee the bridge maintenance work. And we already have one bridge inspector, but we'll need another one to cover all the work that we're looking at doing. And so the reason I'm requesting that we wait another year before we put this out to RP is because right now we got project manager with Nolte who's been there since the beginning of RTA. He's experienced with the city and RTA processes, procurement, financial rules. He understands Bev and Rick's eccentricities, and so he's just well-versed, and it would be a loss to switch horses now. And as far as cost, I was looking at the rate that, and he's the bulk of the expense right now. His rate is about the same or less than some of the other project engineers we have on a lot of these project contracts that you're approving. His rate is very comparable to that. So in order not to lose continuity at the end of the year, like I said, my request is if we could reconsider and maybe waiting another year before we recompete the project management contract. And I brought that forward because we had talked about it, and I said we would.
Mike, I went on your website this morning and saw that the job is posted. You've stated in here you might not be able to get somebody that would, in fact, be able to do that work with the city. With the rates that you're talking about there, your loaded cost will come in just a shade under $120K. When you go back and take a look at the NV5 contract that we talked about last November, when we strongly recommended that it be recompeted, your loaded cost for a bridge inspector was $233K, so 110 and plus change more than your own city employee. Were you intending to have PPRTA pay for an additional NV5 person coming on board, or were you going to pay for that out of city funds?
No, we were looking at supplementing Nolte's contract with RTA funds, and that's something that we do. We adjust up and down year to year, irregardless of whether we have staff quit or not. Earlier in the RTA 1, we had about 4 engineers and several, 3 or 4
Right
inspectors.
now you have a PM, an admin, and 2 bridge inspectors for $962K.
Yes.
If I recall.
Mm-hmm. And yes, we do have that position posted, but we're not sure exactly what skill set we'll get there, and and there's other work. It's not just RTA work that he was doing; it was city work. So he might this new person might just get loaded up with city work or some of the RTA.
But RTA is paying 100% of this contract,
Yes.
but they're doing work for the city other than RTA work?
No. Wait. No, the city staffer may get some RTA projects, or he may not. If we, depending on workload. whatever we give to Nolte will be all RTA work only. Is that your question? And the hiring process is about a 2 to 3 month process, so I can't just sit and let this work, not get unattended to. So I'm like I said, I gave Nolte the Mark Dabbling Bridge last week because it's going out to construction, or it is out for construction. So we had no choice but to give it to him, just because my staff is pretty loaded up.
Any questions or comments that haven't been said? Okay, I'm going to add some.
Mr. Chair, I do have.
Go ahead, Tony.
I guess the microphone's not working anyway. I'm not sure I'm clear, Mike, on why recompeting the contract would be detrimental. If Nolte's or NV5 still turns out to be the correct choice, they're still going to be under contract. But if we get another one that has a better offer and can provide the engineers you're talking about, wouldn't that be beneficial?
Well, from a cost-wise, I don't think we're going to get rates or a price that's significantly lower. It might be a little lower, but there's quite a bit of learning curve that these people will have to do, not only with just the process, working with the city and the RTA, but the project themselves. If we have to switch project managers in January, there's a couple of projects here where person's going to have to come on board and try to catch up on all the history that's gone on with the design, and so there's just a lot of loss of efficiency.
Isn't that the same mental process you go through every single year when you decide to extend them, and won't it happen again in 2019 when you're?
No, because
So I mean, you're
I was on the track to recompete it because that's what was desired, but with the change now where I'm going to have to put more work on them, and we got Nolte actually has a new admin staff person that just started recently because the original admin person had been there for 10 years and was very good. She decided she wanted to do something different, so we brought somebody on in 2016, and that didn't work. So we interviewed another person. I actually sat on that one. I think we have somebody who's going to be very capable, and she's learning the whole system. But in 8 months, I might have to have somebody totally different and start the retraining. So the only reason I'm making this request is because I'm adding a little bit of work to them. Might need to add some more, and I don't want to do that and then pull their contract in 8 months. So that's the reason I'm making this request at this time is, and then next year, we'll have enough time to transition.
Just a follow-up, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. Still on mine. We're not asking if we say that we want the recompete for 2018. We're not asking you to fire NV5. We're asking for them to say why they should also stay on as well.
Well, I understand that, but basically, if some other firm has a better proposal, on the 31st, Nolte goes and the new person starts, and there really is, we might be able to extend Nolte a little bit, a month or so for transitioning, but still, that there's just quite a loss in productivity when you switch personnel like that, and so I think it's well worth it for the continuity of these projects to go one more year in light of the change and the added work I need to give them right now, or I'm planning on giving them.
Brian?
Yeah, just for my understanding of kind of how time is an issue, from what I'm hearing, and because you had a city engineer who resigned, you're looking to shift some of the extra burden that's left over as a result of that to this NV5 person, PPRTA only.
Mm-hmm.
And the continuity of the projects, the timeliness of completion and things like that would be negatively affected, in your opinion, by not renew it, by not extending this and going out to recompete. Is
Yes.
that what you're saying?
Mhm. Especially with the capital projects where there's a lot of history and a lot of background work, a lot of citizen contact, and you know, to bring somebody new in is disruptive, not only in the construction and the technical side, but also in just the public relation process.
In your opinion, would the cost involved with doing that, finding somebody else and recompeting and doing all that, and the time delays, would the benefit outweigh any cost savings of recompete?
Again, I don't think we're going to get substantially lower fee from a different consultant.
So basically, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cheryl.
There were some numbers thrown out, and I apologize for maybe rehashing something that's already been said from November, I think you said. The contract that that the city of Colorado Springs gave to Nolte, or NV5, was for $950,000 for 1 year for 4 people.
Yes.
It's about $200 and a quarter a person. That seems a little.
Job I'd like that.
Yeah, me too. So that was
But
for
you don't
1
have
year
the
for
overhead that
both-
Nolte has, just,
Pardon?
you don't have the overhead as an individual
Well,
that
no,
Nolte.
I understand that, you know, the multipliers and that kind of thing from my
Yeah.
previous work, you know. And the second question I have is that I thought PPRTA, and this probably isn't for you, but maybe for Rick, I thought we had a 1% overhead cap on what we could spend for administration, and isn't this Nolte contracted administration?
No.
No.
No, okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to take a liberty I don't normally do. It was November the 9th, CAC meeting. There were a total of 12 items that were approved, but one was conditional, and it was the NV5. It was brought to the attention of the group as a whole that this had not been competed for since the beginning. That is now 7 years ago that it was last competed for. So, and this was with regards to the budget. It was agreed at that time that they would take care of this in the 2018 budget. That was an accepted agreement given verbally by the city at this meeting. I have a problem. You're going to have change turnover in this particular business anyway. And I don't see what's going to change if you wait till 2018, because in 2018, you're going to have all the projects ending then in 2019. There is no change. My personal opinion, they should go forward and be prepared. Tomorrow, Jim Null might decide to, retire from the city's engineering staff, and the next day it's going to be, I don't know, Tom Beersba. That's part of the business. So I personally will be against this. Any other comments? Is there a motion on the floor? Do I have to make the motions too? Tom?
Move for disapproval.
Is there a second? I'm sorry. Somebody said second. Okay.
Could you clarify disapproval as Mike presented?
Disapproval for extending to
Basically, that's what he asked for.
2019.
To not recommend approval.
Are there any questions? Is everybody clear? All in favor of the motion as presented, which is, go ahead. All in favor of the motion as presented?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? One. Okay. There was one.
Okay.
Scott. Thought I remembered your name.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Who do we have now? Oh, Mike, are you back up?
Oh, contract change order log is just for information. We just had a couple items on Woodman Road. Any questions there?
Yeah, can you advise us where we should invest to get some of the breaks? Are there any questions? Now we get the pleasure of Mr. Sonnenberg. D.
Staff field review report, information only. It's in your packet. I'm available for questions.
Mr. Null would like you to make aware that he has already made a very positive comment about this review, and he doesn't want to have to repeat it.
Okay.
For those of us that are aging, do you have magnifying glasses?
I thought it was very apropos.
I would like to make a personal comment. The quality of work that we have from the staff needs to be recognized to this board, not this board, the board that they report to, too.
Absolutely.
I doubt that many of you realize how hard Bethany works, probably harder than all of them. But no, seriously, Bev, and then Rick has to run around and find some of these projects. And I don't even know the damn names of the streets, so you know I'm not going to help him much. But in seriousness, some, like Woodman, I'm still trying to figure out the wording on the ballots about Woodman. We started at I-25, and we went just past Academy.
Yes.
And they've got phase 1, 2, and 3. No, don't get him involved. Literally at Lexington, I have gone by there twice when we had 2C, okay? And we still have it. And I saw a sign. Rick's one sign, I'm another sign. Rick says PPRTA, and I say 2C. I don't know what the limits are. Just based on the signs, we couldn't have been very far apart. We were only about 20 feet apart, and I'm thinking, well, which is what? So literally, it's a very difficult job. Rick goes out and says, oh, here it is, Bev, type thing, or vice versa. There's a conversation. So I personally thank you both, all three of you.
Thank you.
How do we get the recognition to the board?
If it's approved by everybody, I will take it to them next Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's appropriate. I move that we authorize whoever the presenting chair is at the next meeting of the board next week to make note of those comments to the board. I think it's important.
Second.
All not in favor, say aye. I just want to do it peaceful.
We're listening.
All those in favor? Is that what you're trying to say?
No.
No, he said not in
The other
favor.
way.
Even with my bad ears, I heard that.
Yeah, me too. That's scary.
You weren't imagining that, were you?
All right, Rick, report of recent board actions.
Again, an information item, summary of what happened at the board at their March 8 meeting. Do you have any questions?
Yes. What was the issue that the board felt about the,
Contract number 15?
yeah,
That the city's presentation was that it was an intersection that needed improvement regardless of its proximity to the Olympic Museum. But at least one board member conjectured that it might be supplementing the Olympic Museum. And they wanted, and Mike, you might have to help me, they wanted to think about it, talk about it, maybe get more information. Bethany or Bev or Mike, do you have any additional wording to add to why the board postponed contract number 15?
I think you summarized it, just there's more information.
If I'm not mistaken, 15 was the one that Kathleen presented as being part of a, a traffic calming, walkable streets and that kind of thing. So that was not the issue of using PPRTA funds to do, that kind of thing. That wasn't the issue. The issue was.
There was also
Proximity issue.
There was also talk, part of that was Cascade, and part of the conversation has to do with stormwater coming down Vermejo to the west. No.
Lived here longer than that.
At the intersection of Cascade and Vermejo, it's still downhill towards the railroad tracks, okay? So that's where the discussion, we've got to handle the stormwater at the intersection of, now that's not Sawatch. Yeah, it is Sawatch. Southwest corner of Sawatch. And then some questions were brought up by some board members about what is what in terms of the improvements to downtown, and it's a party square and where they have things instead of coming down Tejon, and the rodeo parade literally comes, that's always at the intersection of Pikes Peak and Tejon. All the parades come down Tejon, so it's something to have a downtown thing, and then the discussion really flared out into many places. So, and there's an issue of water, stormwater getting into the creek under the railroad tracks and the capacity of, so that's why the board
My
asked.
question was just whether if there was an objection to the traffic calming, lane reduction kind of thing. So there wasn't.
I don't know.
Other issues. So.
There always are.
Okay. And the other question I had is the policy. That wasn't on our agenda. I thought we had said last meeting that we were going to discuss that policy change. And
Jim wasn't going to be able to be here, and he wanted to wait till he could be here to have that conversation.
I'll ratify that statement.
Gene?
On item 13, was there any discussion in open session concerning that?
No,
That was easy.
but it will be on the board agenda for next Wednesday because several board members missed hearing that, so the attorney will restate her legal advice.
Probably be an executive session as well.
Yes, it'll be a repeat. Any other questions? Yes, that's next. Are we ready for 8B?
Please.
I want to apologize in advance due to a number of reasons. This draft annual report is in less of a final version than it has been at this meeting in past years. So, and my usual eagle eye has missed a couple things. So I have a new version to hand to you.
So we can just.
Going to the corner and 7. Going that way. Okay. When, you mean the draft?
The new draft, will it go up on the website with our packet?
well, let me think about that. Our plan is to try to get it to a next edition of a draft so that it can go in the board packet tomorrow for the board to review on next Wednesday. All of you get the link to the board packet, so you'll see it.
That's fine.
There.
That's good.
Okay. Brian, did you want one? Okay. First of all, some of the pictures were not adjacent to their supporting narrative. So in the version I've handed you, they've been relocated. So one of the major changes in this draft are the pictures, not the cover, I'll get to that in a minute, but are the internal pictures on pages 16 and beyond. So on page 16, there's a second ribbon cutting for West Colorado that's been added, and the pictures that did not relate to that project have been relocated. On page 18, we moved the Chestnut Street over South Douglas Creek picture from elsewhere to its proper location next to its supporting narrative. And Shook's Run now has a map. Now, all of these are going to be blown up to be twice the size. Everything in here is half size from what it'll eventually be. That's why some of the maps are hard to read. Baptist Road on page 19 has a picture of the roundabout circle. And Jennifer, if you have a different picture for Baptist you want to send us, we're open to a different picture.
Please. I'm not into metal aspen.
So the Monument Hill picture is probably okay. Page 20. Those pictures now match the narrative. Now on page 22, that picture in the lower left is a duplicate of Chestnut Street on page 18, so we probably need to find a different picture for page 20. The left hand. So that picture probably needs to be replaced. And CAC member Tom Viersba found a typo on page 16. I'm sorry, page 17, the Tut Boulevard extension. 3 lines up, and the word anticipate is hyphenated, so that
We don't have a page 17.
I was just going to say, I'm going page 16, 17.
Oh, gotcha,
Page 14, 16.
Each page is 2 pages.
yeah,
Yeah, got it.
each sheet of paper is 2 pages.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got it.
I'm trying to
That's
find
the half-size version.
you know, Reb has his ears and I have my eyes, right?
I have more problems than my ears, young lady.
If it wasn't for Scott, I wouldn't know that, so.
Scott.
The picture for Centennial Extension is actually the Centennial Reconstruction Project.
You're right. Let's see.
Page 21.
Yeah, I was going to say, thank you.
I knew it was Centennial, but it's the wrong Centennial.
Rick? The parts here on page 23, the totals for El Paso County, I don't know that people can relate to square yards of material as opposed to miles or feet or whatever else they may use in their daily life.
linear yard.
Which page is he on?
Yeah, it doesn't compute, striping 1,147 gallons. Okay. What'd that give me?
Yeah.
One quick thing, just going back to Scott real quick. Scott, were you saying that we need to get a different picture on page 21?
Yeah, because that's the other something project.
I don't think you use another picture so much as you can change the description.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
well,
two
it's a
centennial
combination.
projects.
Well, the extension, all they've done is right away, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you probably just need a map or something for the extension. 'cause
Well-
it's built in.
Yeah, to show you what you're really doing.
I'm remembering that you gave me a map, didn't you?
Yeah, gallons of striping doesn't make much sense, does it?
Yeah, okay, so,
Striping, 4-inch striping?
And I don't know if this is possible, Rick, but initially Hodgen Road was in different phases, and you're showing all phases have been completed, and that's not the case on page 10.
I'm glad they showed me where the page numbers are. Thank you, Brittany.
With Tom Viers's comments on page 23.
Can we wait till we?
yes.
Wait a minute. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let me help, let me ask for the help of Jennifer. Jennifer, on Hodgen in PPRTA 1, shall we show a piece that's not done, or to address Cheryl's question?
I think I need to talk to Rick about that issue offline and figure out how to best address that. Essentially, we only had so much money for PPRTA. Some of the roads on PPRTA show when we put together the language, it shows, we can use that money anywhere between X and X. So I think at this point, we, the county, at some point want to come back and do some additional work.
So.
But at this point, I think we're deeming that project as under the original PPRTA is essentially complete under the amount of money that we had. So we'll talk about how to message that
Yeah,
best.
I'm just concerned that in 2018 or 2019, when the county comes back and says, okay, now we're going to fill in the gap, people are going to say, well, you just did it. You showed that it was all done. So
We'll talk to Rick about how to best message that.
Thank you.
Okay, Brian?
Just going back, and Jennifer, you may want to hang out for a second.
Square yards?
We're trying to address Tom's commentary about the square yards versus something that
I'll work with Rick on that. My guys put us in a little bit different than in the past, I agree. Usually we do just a quick summary. While it includes and summarizes everything that we did with the totals for the overlay program, I don't think that people really understand. So I think it's probably better to put in a bulleted summary of with our overlay money, we overlaid X miles of road. It's great that we did thermoplastic markings, but in my mind, those are kind of included. So we'll work with Rick on that.
Do we even need subgrade prep?
No.
I don't think subgrade prep has been a category in the past.
No, again, that's part of the road, but people don't see that. So we'll put together some different, a bulleted summary.
And I got to apologize to the CAC as a whole. Normally, this stuff is done through the Public Outreach Subcommittee, but there was a time issue this year. So staff felt to get things through the process.
To not miss a month.
Yeah, and rather than delaying this another month, it was important to get out. So a lot of the little nitpicky things we're kind of dealing with now are normally taken care of at this point in the process.
And I would just add, just from my perspective, we were late. I don't know about everybody else, but we were late in providing our stuff to staff. So I would just say that it's not staff's fault. It's really member government's fault. in my opinion, and the county is one of the culprits. We're doing the best we can. So I just want to make sure, because Rick's staff has been doing great work, and so I don't want the perception that he, we're just.
Gave us notice and
Yep.
got lost our email.
I appreciate you guys for saying.
Jim?
I just wanted to compliment you on getting the word out. In fact, if I had my druthers, you'd have a spot in each grocery store to show what got accomplished by their tax dollars and their city leaders. And because I don't, if you're in one of these areas, you know, oh boy, isn't that nice? But it just is a great way to advertise the good work that gets done.
Tom?
Rick, to what you and I were talking about earlier, and Mike, you might know the answer. The Old Ranch road improvements here are listed as to be started. Are they actually complete or underway, or what's?
Completed.
Yes, that's the interchange, right?
Yeah. So we need to amend the map for that. I think I prepared the map to get to our map maker probably 4 months ago, so I didn't update it when that one was completed.
Rick, could I ask, would it be acceptable to approve this as presented with, and I'm just rough drafting right now, a recommendation? I'm quite confident that staff will get the information in time. He might have to put out a revised draft after you. If anybody catches anything, because it's really difficult to do very quickly, because you're trying to follow Cheryl talking about page 10, and Brian's talking about page 23, and Tom's over here talking about 14. And I wouldn't be surprised, even with Bethany and the verbal. And then Jennifer's going to have some conversation with you. Approve it with a positive recommendation, realizing there's going to be some revisions, primarily administrative, like putting the right title for the right project, a photo together, and that sort of thing.
I appreciate that. I would be open to that. I'd encourage that. That there is one more item that I'd like to bring up, and that's the front cover. This bridge, this $13 million bridge is very impressive. From this one shot, it was a shot in order to get the bridge and the sign. It has lots of weeds.
Photoshop. We don't want to be accused of false advertising.
We live in Colorado. What is wrong with weeds?
Photoshop some grass in here?
What are you spending our
That's
taxpayer
not
dollars on?
weeds, that's native grass.
Yeah,
That's what I meant.
buffalo grass, yeah.
And, well, now, wait a minute. Native grass? That's what we're growing and getting millions of dollars from across the country.
I'd like to explore maybe getting a good shot, either a different shot of this bridge in the next day or two, or a shot of the Chestnut Street Bridge over South Douglas Creek, and maybe that one, the best shot of those two options since they were completed in 2016.
Do we have any drone shots? I'm not joking. I mean.
Yeah. Call your local realtor.
It might be
Just-
covered with snow.
Ed and I were at the Baptist Road setting, and I don't remember seeing a PPRTA sign up there. Well, Jennifer, we were familiar. I didn't say it wasn't there. I'm just saying we were so familiar.
They just put it there
I just
now.
wanted to note for the record to tell Kathleen that we don't gold plate our projects in the
Stop
county.
drinking like that.
I have some.
Gold plate our projects.
So, just to restate the obvious, that this is a draft that would have been about 10 days ago, but that's why it's not in a better shape. So we're about 10 days behind where we should be. But, so either lose a month or go with Reb's option.
I would like to move that we allow staff discretion with dealing with the changes, adjustments, and updates that need to be done, and that committee be kept, apprised of any draft that comes out subsequent. And I'll just leave it there.
I'll
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If anybody opposes, just meet me outside after.
Mr. Chair,
Unanimous.
One thing I did want to address that's also part of the item, just to make everybody aware, and Rick did a pretty good job of describing in here the distributions.
Yes.
Do you want to touch on that, or?
Should I also go back in history,
Yeah.
some early days? In the early days, well, first of all, that we did not do an annual report in 2005. In 2006, I don't remember. In 2006, the City of Colorado Springs city staff did the report. It was mostly big pictures. So we started doing it in 2007. And I think the first year, let's see, we did a direct mailing. Was that the first year?
Yeah.
We did it.
90,000.
We got the active voters roster and spent $25,000 to $30,000 to print these and mail them to the active voters. Then at the end of 2008, we then decided to make them, to stuff them, or make them inserts into the 9 newspapers, starting with the Gazette and 8 of the smaller newspapers in the metro area. Then, due to our dip in sales tax revenue and the CAC and the board wanting to be very economical with the distribution costs, because we spent $25,000 for the direct mailing and about $20,000 for the inserts in the newspaper, because you have to first print them and then pay all the newspapers. Then the CAC and the board decided to just go with about 3,000 copies that staff would take to the libraries, each of the city and county and town halls and buildings, and put those in the public display racks. HBA and other locations and other nonprofits. So that dropped the price from about $25,000 down to about $4,000. And then to put it on the website. So it's website plus 3,000 copies to be disseminated to libraries and public buildings, et cetera. And that's where we've been ever since. So our total cost is in the $3,500 range for the printing and a little bit of staff time to put this together. The policy and communications staff takes the pictures and the narrative that are submitted to us electronically by the member governments, and then they plop them into the document, and then we print it out.
We put out notifications as well to the public that if they choose, if they want a printed copy rather than downloading it from the website or going to one of the other member governments, they can actually write and request or email and request one be mailed to them. But really, this was an evolutionary change with the increase in the internet usage in Colorado Springs. We noticed that Colorado Springs, like some of the other hubs in the United States and in Silicon Valley, the Austin, Texas area, we have a very high tech savvy and high-speed internet penetration, and that's only increased over the years. So we found that the cost savings in the delivery method, and nowadays it's common, but 10 years ago this was kind of a new thing. So we've experienced a good deal of cost savings, and we find that we're actually getting a better penetration of the public of this information. And if there's somebody out there who's still not on the computer or can't figure out how to download the PDF, they can write in and we'll mail it to them. But it reduces printing costs substantially and broadens the dissemination of the information. So it's kind of how we got to where we're at.
The other piece of the expense is paying for ads in the 9 newspapers stating that the annual report is available online, and you can go to the website and see it.
Tony?
Quick question. Online, is it just put on PDF form? Or-
Yes.
Okay. Not for this year, but is there a possibility of looking into the future of maybe with that online, making it a little more interactive for people who are going? Because that might really help to make it more appealing to the public as well.
We did, if you mean like internal linking.
Internal linking,
We kind of
use some multimedia form of presentation.
We looked at something like that, and again, it's been a few years since we last updated. We put an integrated map, and God, I can't even believe it's been that long, but we put an integrated map on there so that when folks actually go and look at the projects, and I'm sure most of you have gone and you can mouse over and click and get more information. We did that kind of in lieu of integrating it into the report because there's still, especially among our more seasoned folks, still a disconnect to where that kind of functionality may be fairly commonplace in the and I hate to be ageist, but in the under 30 crowd, the more seasoned members of our community wouldn't really get a benefit out of it yet. So it's something we can definitely consider. There's also a cost for us.
Of course, yeah.
Because when we started doing this, we actually had to buy software.
Right.
And we were really good about how we did that, but then of course the software requires updates.
There's a pretty strong group of people in the community, the Go Code Colorado people, who would probably jump all over doing this pretty much for free if it's something we're looking into.
Brian, I have to compliment you on the euphemism seasoned, i.e. old. But I'm not PC, but, I just thought we should acknowledge that some of us are seasoned a little more than others. Chronologically gifted.
So, and Tony, that's definitely something we consider.
Sure. Yes.
It's again, it's always there was actually a lot of pushback.
Okay, come on, guys, let's wrap up.
We originally, and Tom Rogers will remember this, when we were originally working on the upgrading and really putting more information out on the website and utilizing that as our kind of combined information for it.
There's always pushback on
Yeah.
moving, yeah.
Okay,
Well,
let's roll.
it was a cost issue, we were looking at, okay, well, we're reducing costs, but we're now going to be investing in this other new technology.
Right.
But staff has done a tremendous job. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, you've probably noticed, we didn't even have to have the subcommittee really involved in this process this year, which kind of makes me feel useless. But it's gotten to the process where the member governments know what our staff expects as far as being able to put out this report and then actually putting it together and getting it out. And really what it's come down to is kind of an editing. They throw it through to us usually to edit it and weed out all the junk and talk about pictures and graphs and all that stuff. And then once that draft is done, then it comes to you guys as kind of a final draft. Changed a little bit this year because of time issues, but the website, that's another thing, and if you're interested in being on the subcommittee, we look at it.
I might be.
All right, Gene, just a minute. Tom?
This is a comment about a different subject. I know that the staff does an awful lot of work already. If you get any information about this proposed .62 sales tax at the state level, such as what the Tier 1 list actually is, if you could send that out.
Hang on just a minute. We are talking right now about this draft, okay? Brian brought it back up. There was a motion put on the table, or on the floor. I don't know whether anybody...
Yes.
We voted it. We already voted it.
Yeah.
We did?
Yeah. Let's roll, folks.
This was a secondary, kind of
After the fact conversation.
All right, let's
That's
get
what I
back
thought
to
we
the
were
subject. Rick was talking about the annual report. Brian asked him to explain the history behind it.
right.
And you're bringing up something that's the next subject up, legislation, okay?
One quick item.
Okay.
On the website, is it download the PDF only?
I believe that's the way we've always done it.
I would suggest that you also put it up as an HTML page to see this. Some people will take the time to look at a web page that shows it, but won't take the time to download the PDF and read it.
There, yeah.
You have displays inside the web
There is
page.
there is a.
In most browsers now.
Staff time component and infrastructure component that we would probably want to have, get a report back on, from staff on feasibility and how long that would take to actually put these up as like screenshots.
Okay, we can check
You
that.
could wind up with hours. Each staff member showing his project, her project.
We deal with, now, the PPACG website, the same people who do the PPACG website handle our website too. It's
Yep.
just, it's a matter of where the funds are coming from. And that's part of the administrative cost. We have to stay below that. And we've always stayed well below that 1%, but,
Nice
the
try.
number of
It
hours
was a good
involved.
effort.
So,
If it's feasible, I think it would pay some benefit.
We'll look into that.
yeah.
Come on.
Can we go now?
Moving on.
Does that cover the communications portion of the agenda?
I have to go.
No?
Does it cover agenda topics for next meeting? Go ahead.
Oh, I think we need,
Question first.
we need 8C.
Right.
Which
Okay.
question?
Legislative report.
Okay, I'll
Kind of shot.
I'll make my little presentation, and then I think we can get to Tom Vieira's question. There were two bills that I mentioned, the House Bill 1018 and Senate Bill 11, both were approved. I did not include them in your packet, but I did send them to you separately. I hope you all received those. Yep. So that the two bills that the CAC and the board cared about both passed.
All right. Tom, you brought up one, you're talking about the one that's on the books? Six.
The- the-
1242,
1242, I think, is the number.
There's not much real facts out there, and I'm just asking if you see something in the course of your normal business, just to distribute it to everybody so we're aware of it, because people will come to us and ask questions about it.
Okay?
Just as a personal comment on that, I actually tend to agree with your somebody's position on this.
I do too.
We've taken responsibility
For our
where
roads.
the state didn't for many years, and now we're going to be expected to pay for everybody else's short-sightedness, and that ticks me off.
And the state has a history of not giving us back our fair share when they do a statewide tax.
Which is why we took responsibility.
Right.
And I think
Well,
the
if-
issue in the paper was, that the mayor told me, was that it's the same 0.62%, which is yielding the city about $50 million a year. And under this plan from the state, we get about 25 back out of the 50 we put in.
The state plan, I think, is not that much, if you got it. The state plan is only 30%, not 50%, 0.1. By the way, it doesn't tell you where that 30% is going to go, it just says it's going to come back. So Rick gets 70%, and the other 30% of the 30% goes to the rest of the counties around the state.
Well, it's obvious that it's the Denver metro area.
I understand.
And adjacent communities robbing the rest of the state.
But
So what else is new?
Right.
So that was my simple request. If you hear something, let us know.
Will do.
I think it's back in a different committee now.
Better kill it.
He's updated you. Agenda topics for the next meeting.
Board policy number 10.
Yeehaw.
Thanks, Rick.
Still working on that.
All right. Did you get that, Bethany? All right, communications. Has that been covered or not?
Congratulations to all the winners of the election.
It's time to say goodnight.
How about condolences to several of the voters?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
I understand that better than anybody. I heard that too, despite my bad hearing. Is there a second? This meeting is adjourned. Third.
Ed, how many bottles are in a case of the V8 Fusion peach mango drink?
I don't know. Bethany,
Either
do we
24
move here or do we move over
or
here?
32 if you go to Costco. A regular case.
The wife wants like a big punch bowl full of that stuff.
Yeah, a regular case is 24.
A regular case is 24.
Yes, sir.
I noticed, looking at the PAC website, that you and I specifically, and I don't know if
Oh, yeah.
some of our roles, but are listed as district reps and at-large.
I'm not a limit. Bethany?
No, no.
So the website's up again?
Yeah.
Well, I saw all that.
Yeah, and I looked at it yesterday, and we're listed in both categories.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
Okay.
I'm not either. I'm District 1. It says District 1 and at-large, District 2 and at-large.
Bethany and Rick, I want to thank you guys again.
I don't know.
That would be Jessica down at the office.
I actually had nothing to do with the annual report. It was Jessica McMullen and Jenny
Gonna
Lyons.
get that
They're
for you.
PNC people. Yes, I will.
She's on vacation. I was going to say, I'm going to be down
They
there
will
next week.
appreciate it. It's been a lot. Yeah, I will.
Consumption that Mark and I have been meeting at Mountview Electric. Hot grows. And spending some time with Mark, but it's at a bad point. Mountview is very concerned in their situation.
We have one in our neighborhood across the street. Longview came out to check their meter. And I happened to see the lady, and I said, "Is there a problem?" Because I was out walking, and she said, "No, we're just checking loads."
What's bad for Mountview, there's a lot of them out east that are very large. They haven't replaced pedestals and invest heavily.
Well, it was like, we had about
And to the point